One thing for sure is I want to make sure I let everybody know we honestly don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But the reason I'm making this video is because I think a lot of people are internet detectives when it comes to bashing a fighter they don't like versus their favorite fighter. They all of a sudden magically use sources that they don't trust when it comes to their favorite fighters' pay-per-view numbers. So, let's say Tank Davis did 200,000 or just under 200,000. If you do the math, it was 74.95. Anybody can do the math. So I want everybody to understand this. When they say Jake Paul's pay-per-view numbers, they'll tell you Jake Paul did 500,000 worldwide, or they'll say he did 1 million pay-per-views worldwide. That's talking Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, South America. Yeah, I want to say either the Philippines or somebody else, Japan, China. There's a lot of places that consume boxing that are not just domestically. When I made or I should say, when they talk about pay-per-view points, it's kind of like the music business. And I think Tank took 50% of the pay-per-view points. So let me give you guys an example on the back end. When you guys see that someone is in the music business and their record still gets played, they still get that check every month, that's part of what they're talking about when they say points. So right now, guys, when you go to DAZN, you see DAZN bought Mayweather Maidana, and I believe they bought Mayweather Oscar De La Hoya. So when in the future, if somebody buys the fight and they put it on their channel or they display it or whatever, Tank will still get the proceeds and some percentage of the advertisement and the money behind people watching the fight later on down the road. But back to right now. If he did around 200,000, that grosses probably about 18 million, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I looked at the number, I'm not quite sure. But if you tally it in the United Kingdom, which people don't understand how big pay-per-view is in the United Kingdom, I don't think people also understand when Devin Haney got paid so much for fighting George Kambosos, y'all forgot. We got that fight with our ESPN Plus subscription. People in Australia paid for it on pay-per-view. So, if Dev made that much money just in Australia, just imagine how much money Tank is making with all the other territories, including the United States of America, Canada, etc., etc. So, the moral of the story is I'm pretty sure Tank's getting paid pretty good or he'd be out of there. He could get money wherever he wants. I'm pretty sure he likes his situation. Most importantly, the gate. People forgot about the gate. They never even talked how much the gate grossed. If the gate grossed enough to pay Tank plus the fighters on the undercard and Frank Martin, that's already a success. Now we could guess how much money Tank's getting paid. None of us really know. But what I will say is this, and this is some common sense shit. Excuse my language. If they're in the green, they're fine. When you lose money on pay-per-view, that's when it's bad. So if the 200,000 or close to 200,000 plus all the other 100,000s that were bought around the world that they haven't added up yet, that's why you just seen Oscar respond to Ryan and Devin saying, I got 90 days to pay you because all the numbers have to be tallied up. Do you guys understand when you see UFC on ESPN, UFC will let you see their pay-per-view 60, I forget, it's like 30 to 60 days later, but within that first like month of a UFC event, you notice it's still available on pay-per-view because people are still buying it. You notice you can't get it on the internet because they got strict restrictions. The reason why Blair Cobb said what he said about him and AB's fight is because when you have your YouTube account set up right, even when somebody is displaying the fight, when they have advertisements in between it, the main company is still getting paid for it. So when you tally all this shit up from all these different sources, why you think certain people with podcasts, they don't make most of their money on YouTube. A lot of people make their money on podcasts when it goes via, what do you call it, audio. So like if a truck driver is driving, somebody on the train riding in the morning, you working around the house, you're doing something where you can't literally look at the podcast. That's where it makes the most money, when people can just listen to it when they're working and doing something. So I want people to understand that us trying to be internet detectives because we don't like a fighter or because we do like a fighter don't make no sense. But I will tell you this. One thing is for sure and for certain. Tank getting paid a nice amount of money for whatever he doing over there with the promotional company or the manager he's working with. That's why he's still over there with them. If not, he would have already left. And if the fight is worth a lot of money, Turk Al Sheikh, he'll throw his money out there, and his advisor will probably let him go over there and get the money if it's worth, his while. But we'll see what happens with this Lomachenko fight. I'm excited for it. But understand, when you're in business, it's about making a profit. And if they made a profit, it's not a disappointment. I'm out.